This story begins, like most do in Buffalo, New York, on a dark and stormy night. I was working the closing shift at my local supermarket where I work as a cashier on nights and weekends. It was about 5 minutes before we closed where I started to spray down and wipe down my register. As I'm spraying and as I'm wiping, I see an older gentleman come up and lift his full bag of groceries right on my register. That was strike one. Now, if you've ever worked a customer service job or you were a cashier in high school, you know that they can sort of start to ask these nosy questions. And this was strike two. Now, he starts to ask me some pretty personal questions, with probably the weirdest one being, what do you want to do after high school? And I was like, okay, whatever. He's probably not going to stalk me. So I say, oh, I want to go to school for theater, design, and technology. The man's face goes white. He is completely shocked, and after a few moments of awkward silence, he goes, oh, so you don't want to feed your family? That was strike three. I wanted to sort of educate this man, tell him how important the arts are for society, and even more importantly, how essential a tech team is for those arts. Now, I can't educate him, but I do have the honor and the privilege of educating you all. And I also want to give you a behind-the-scenes look at how we create an event just like TEDx. This is Stagehands Run the World. So tonight, I'm going to define stagehand as a catch-all term for anybody who works behind the scenes on a live event, whether it's a conference, a musical, a play, an instrumental concert, anything. These are people like audio technicians, box office people, costume designers, lighting designers, stage managers, anybody who's not actively performing on the stage. Now, these are all the people it takes to put on tonight's event. We have the leadership team, the people meeting every single week to determine strategic decisions for this event. We've been meeting since pretty much October. We have the crew, people like Emily and Benji on stage right, and Ava and Gabe on stage left, as well as Willa up in the booth. Hamid videoing, Cam and Schumann shooting photos, and Dr. Steins are in the back mixing. But then we also have the support staff that you don't see, the people who are most likely invisible. These are the people who are making sure that the FPAC is reserved for us, that are making sure that the doors are unlocked, the heat is on, making sure that we can have this event here and no board meeting or anything is going to be held during this time. Now, you'd think with all of these people here, we would never run into any errors, right? Wrong. Anytime something can go wrong, it will go wrong. If you've ever been to a Nichols morning meeting or even a conference at your own work, you may know that when people plug in their laptops, it usually doesn't work, the sound doesn't come out, and things go wrong. We as a tech team are here to fix that. But that's not all we're good for. We're also here to design what the event will look like. Now, today when you walked in and saw all these talks, you probably didn't notice anything about the lighting. But this is what it looks like before you even walk in and before I start designing. Not great, right? It's pretty shadowy. The house lights are on. We have some fluorescence above. Overall, not great. So as the lighting designer, the first thing I do is take out the house. Now you're ultimately focused on me. Now, I'm just one person, and this is a huge stage. So we turn off the fluorescence and bring on a warm stage light. Much better. Now, lighting is all about showing where you should look without using verbal communication. Now, if I were to tell you all about this, you may not have noticed it until I said. Like when you walked in here, you may have noticed this invisible work that was going on. Because this is actually a very common idea, invisible work. People who clean your office buildings, city planners who are designing how wide the roads are, which you may not even notice when you're driving to work every day. Now, if I were to go back to this man, I would ask him this: have you ever had a wedding? Because you may have had an audio technician, a photographer, a videographer, a DJ. You have had technical support that are making your day smoother and better. Or if you worked in a larger corporate environment, you may even have an IT staff, people working on networking, setting up your computer, training you on software. What he may not realize is these are all key attributes of live event and theatrical staff. Our soundboard runs off a network. We have people here just in the back mixing. We have people taking photos, like I've said. We have people up in the booth working on this show. So, like I said, if I were to go back, I would tell him exactly what I would say to you. But I implore you all to find the invisible work in your life, the work that usually goes unnoticed, but is ultimately apparent when it goes wrong. Thank you.